Okay. Alright. So now I just gotta prove that Look At Me is responsible for literally everything, despite the fact that he's been in 2 separate places at the exact same time. Now, ordinarily, that'd be impossible, but I'm Phoenix Wright, so I'm getting a good feeling that we're probably gonna be able to suss this all out, figure it out. It's gonna be a good time. Let's do it! Wah! My sis? Your sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. Considering she's a friggin' ghost, it's very likely. I mean, we have spoken to her on multiple occasions since she died. So then she's still alive. Inside your heart. And in general, because her ghost can totally possess people's bodies. Or rather, can be channeled. Nicky boy! It is she! Who is thee? Hello? Oh, Miss Delight. Is it true that the detective is the true killer? I mean, I didn't meet any other characters in this entire adventure, so it's either him or you, and I don't think it's you, so to be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. But he's the only one who could have done it, so he must have did it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. Bye. I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. I am flying by the seat of my pants. What else is new? Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. He knows what he's doing. Is what he'll tell you. Alright, now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Look At Me, please take the stand so that we may point and judge and laugh at you. Well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Master Mask. I'm sorry. I'm afraid even the great Look At Me has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. Okay. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here. That sounds important. Let's remember that. Anything that happened in the last part, he has no idea about. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask to Mask? Indeed. It's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their property to them. What fools! Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. So you continue to insist that you are in fact Master Mask. Yeah, sure, why not? Of course! I mean, yeah, whatever. Whatever I have to say to not get tried for murder. Very well then, Look At Me, let us begin with the simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I won't not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks. I have a crippling dependency. All right, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder. Speak. Blah, blah, blah. We're all ears. Well, you're mostly I, but okay. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. Check this noise out, yo. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. I mean, first and foremost, I noticed this way beforehand, but also that timestamp, that ain't even 1 a.m., so it's 58 a.m. The time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder. That is, in fact, not accurate. It seems the main point of discussion will be the photo of the crime scene. That appears to be the case. Yes. Everything else up until now was all part of his diabolical plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Well, there's a couple secrets I can probably tell. It won't be too hard to figure out, I think. Even the great Master Mask cannot be in 2 places at once unless some chicanery is afoot. Some shenanigans. Some monkey shines, if you will. Now then, if you excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Shut your stupid face up, man. I ain't done talking. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. Oh, God. Flashbacks! Ah! I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. And the only thing I'm full of is a desire for justice and truth. So let's press some statements, y'all. Oh man, I'm still missing points over that? Dang it. All right. Why you announce these things like a big nerd? So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing, oh, sorry, I thought that was him. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. Yeah, pretty much. That is why I'm called Master Mask. I'm very uncreative. But conveniently, that also means that there's no way to tell who this really is. What do you mean? Ha! Are you saying that this is in fact not Luke at me? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Master Mask to create an alibi? Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? Okay, well if you did, I don't have the slightest ever-loving clue who it could be, so I ain't gonna go down that road. If Luke at me was a KB security during the murder, then the Master Mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice. I don't think so, but right now, I've got no idea who it was. And even just looking things over, like seriously, out of all the characters we know, seems unlikely. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what the guy wants. There's gotta be another way, and I'm gonna find it. Ba-bam! I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago. Like 22 by this point, actually, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. Question, did I ever actually look at this dang thing? No. To the security at Lordly Taylor, I'll be coming to purloin the most priceless work of art on display in your treasured or current exhibit. Take care of the speckled urn, won't you? Yours truly, Master Mask. Okay. I don't remember ever reading that. Interesting. Okay. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. You can tell by my nose. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. Most interesting. Explain your nonsense, sir. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here. Is that correct? Indeed it is. That is indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Ho-hum, I wonder. When you think about it, it's really odd. What's odd? You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose. Objection. He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. Because he's very bad at his job, I guess. Go figure. We all have days like that. I don't know. Indeed, it turned out that there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. I was caught by myself. Weird how that works. Life is truly an ironic thing. A sad blue melody. Looks like I'd better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's gotta be something phony in that photo. Oh, get more information and then maybe press that again? All right, very well. I mean, that's clearly not true. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Where? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? Oh, I mean, not necessarily. I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered. I see. Looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious. So, this alibi is false? It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the Master Mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. I could see the latter being the case. The picture only says the time. It doesn't say the day. Ah, okay. So, just a quick thing to check. If I press this again, now that I have new information, will I get something different? This right here. If they committed the crime, surely you understand. It means I could not have killed him. Oh, wait. Come on, think long and hard about that night. the basement warehouse, and the picture that supposedly captures it. Yep, this is new, this is new. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? Well, indeed there is. I gotta say. Okay, are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. Oh, we're not even talking about the timer. Oh, okay, no, but I know what it is. And there's something in this photo that doesn't match up with my memory of that night. Very well, then let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph did you find funny? Well, there is this giant honkin' thing here, and even if there wasn't this giant honkin' thing here, the fact of the matter is, when we first went down there, there was a giant honkin' statue. Where's the giant honkin' statue? The funny part is right here. Why, this is a blood stain! Ah, blood! Now this case is getting interesting! It was boring before. I was bored. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. It's weird how we don't have color photographs in this universe. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches. Judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. I digress. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Oh, he seems to have caught on to this. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains? This giant honking golden statue, it's really hard to miss. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. I dropped the paint in the bucket. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. So why isn't it there? I myself was there the night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there. I'm angry about things, but when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Old bag? Wow, rude. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally. Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It's made of solid gold. Do you have any idea how heavy that is? It'd take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Even if it was on a gurney. In that case, can you prove it? Can you give the rhyme and reason as to why the statue was moved that night? Well, I believe I might be able to. Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? Well, it was more than most likely, probably, Luke Atme. Who else could it have been? The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atme. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move the statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Luke Atme, you pretended to be Master Mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. Maybe, maybe not. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like cheap film at a drugstore. Which took me a second to realize what that was supposed to mean. That is why you had to move the statue. A single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist?
Well, the only thing I could possibly think of would be this right here. I sure hope this is right, because that's a lot of pibs to lose if I'm wrong.
Naturally, the lie in this photo is the timestamp. What do you mean? Oh, I tell you what I mean, son. I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. That's most unorthodox. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor, when was this statue placed beside the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime, and it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly! Which means the statue hadn't even been delivered yet! Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so, in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't been yet brought down to the basement warehouse yet. Ah! So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Dang, that's a pretty good analogy. Not bad, right? Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there was there. Had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. It would have been a huge contradictione. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in the photo. Brecken! You don't get that kind of response from somebody if they're innocent. Order! Mr. Atme, is this true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data from the basement warehouse computer! According to this, oh yes, according to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lordly Taylor staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Bracken! This is so unorthodox! Order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Hell if I know, man. I'm just drinking some damn coffee. I've got problems. Godot, I warned you about making me wait! Now put the coffee down! My 11th cup. Oh, great. Now he has his dang theme song playing. I promise to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Yeah, that sounds incredibly unhealthy, by the way. Which means I'm still good till the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point? So what? Facts? Information? Actually thinking? Why would anybody such as myself dare to do such a thing? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. Maybe if I say things with enough conviction and swarm, people will think I'm smart. I think he got his points mixed up with his other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied, which is, okay, I guess that's maybe cup 12, that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. He said it's stupid, but, I mean, it's not wrong. No, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Damask. Yes? If there's no funny business in your actions as Master Mask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy, so let's hear it. Ooh, strategy. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn. I am interested. Tell me the facts, Jack. I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box, and Zavari, it was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. Okay, well, that's obviously a lie. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. Yep. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th. I feel like I could present this on multiple things. That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yep. But we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you sure there are no mistakes this time? Sorry. Well, that's good enough for me. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. All right. It'd be literally, if what he's saying is true, I don't think he would have called, it's actually a really good thing I looked at this. I don't think he would have called the urn speckled because it wasn't covered in, it didn't get covered in paint until like way, way later. So that should be fine. Hence, I wasn't actually able to see it myself, except for all of that, bull plop. Do you think I actually have to present this itself? Yep, music stopped. I nailed it. Whoop whoop. I ain't mask. I'm cutting through the nonsense. I could have pressed all of those. I chose not to. Mr. Atme, if you really are Master Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with the calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of this speckled urn. Now, the speckled here, surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? You fool! Truth be told, there's no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. Oh, hello. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. Who's telling jokes? The one I see is sitting across from me. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, an adorable lady gone and tripped and smashed it all up. The urn was broken due to human error. Or should I say an error-prone human. No names needed, though. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. Daggin! You can't be serious. Oh, I is, y'all. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. No, rocket! Oh my good lord, this is unorthodox. The court of law is a spectator sport. Everyone knows it. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
None.
All right, that did it. He's broken. It's only been 20 minutes. I don't think we're done. Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. It's Coffee Man. Take me by the coffee hand to the coffee promised land. Ha! It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No, it's not. Don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that?
An excellent point.
Oh, great. Now I need to figure out motive.
Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might your merry murderous motive manifest?
Alliteration, one of my only weaknesses. Nick, he's getting a second wind. If you prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Rondelite as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Rondelite. Isn't that right, Detective?
Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer.
They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious, including himself. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Then we're just gonna have to do our dang best, is what we're gonna have to do. Alright, so be it, so be it.
I, Luke Atme, had no point of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight sought fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
An interesting tale you've told. So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant. This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwritten test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter.
What?
All right, well, that's been updated, so that's pretty good. All right, written by Bullard. Makes sense, makes sense. Oh boy, 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 okay. Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination. I'm just thinking things over. All right, so there is one thing I noticed. hang on. Let me just check something really quick. I want to see that blackmail notice. Blackmail letter. If you don't want your true identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring 50,000. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Okay. But this said, if Mr. Bullard who wrote it and sent it to Ron Delight. Oh, no, that won't work. And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Let's press some stuff. And who in the world is gonna prove that? I will. Matt. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report. What report? Perhaps they were connected through their work? They were both involved in security. Nope. That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight.
Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook him. Mistook?
That's right, mistook. From the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error.
I did not know that. Nor do I know if that's actually factual. I don't know if I can believe what he said. That wasn't what I meant. Just who did the victim mistake Master Mask to be?
Why, the answer's obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. I don't really see a problem with pressing harder. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Master Mask?
Don't you already know that? Zvari, take a look at this newspaper.
Oh-ho, that's the famous Tear of a Manon, a magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant.
The defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article and Zvari, he got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Master Mask.
Ugly? Dude, I don't really think we should be throwing stones right now. I see. That was an unusually reasonable deduction. More so than I'm prepared for. Okay, but I still feel like this might actually be what I need to do? It is! Oh, okay. I might be grasping at straws, but it looks like I still found the right thread anyway. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme?
Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's all right.
When you said that this letter was addressed to Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction.
Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. You're one to talk! At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Oh, you want to go, bro? Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Yeesh. Show us the contradiction in the evidence and the content of the blackmail letter. Well, my first gut instinct was, well, nowhere in this thing is it actually addressed to Ron, and I thought that that was part of the testimony, and it wasn't. However, something else I did notice is the fact that in this newspaper clipping, I mean, that's not red. So, and it said about, this is right? It is! Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the Tear of Aman, the stolen jewel. Whew, thank you, colors. What about it? The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. Does the mask all make you all tinted up weird? According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day. So, I mean, Ron Delight didn't have a red diamond, but I think I know who does. Red? Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of a Manon that Master Mask stole at all. Objection. Oh, what are you objecting to this time? And your point is, Mr. Trite? So you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite? That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes! I love that pose so much. It's just, yes, I agree. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing. Well, the only person with a red jewel I can think of. Oh, half lid. Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You've been personally involved in every single Master Mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond referred to in the letter, which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Give me my monocle. Bang, bang, bang with the gavel. Order, order in the court. Order, I say. It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite. Uh-oh. I don't like the way he said that. Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke Atme? Are you for real? Well, last I checked, I exist in the corporeal form. Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world. Yes, it certainly does. I hate that noise. Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity? Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atme wanted to desperately keep secret was his identity as a blackmailer. He was blackmailed for blackmailing. And that would have destroyed his whole ace detective thing, and then that would have destroyed everything else, and then it would have been revealed that he's a big fraud who steals stuff. Bada bing, bada boom, chalaka laka laka boom. It all comes together. It's a totem pole of blackmail. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection!
About what? Hey now, you're a rock star. Isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that? Yeah, I don't know why you have such a smug smile. That is what he did. You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Rondelight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yeah, just a few days after the Tear of Amon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Rondelight was actually Master Mask. That is what we're claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. Which would explain why he was able to do them better. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Mutter, 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 shush! Silence! I see you. Now I see. It's all becoming clear. What is? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you? Okay, apparently he was right. You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron Delight? In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Master Mask. Well, yeah. Ron Delight started receiving plans for his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime. Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise. Yeah. You're apparently an ace detective. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron Delight was Master Mask? Because there was a frigging security guard and he hid his costume in a friggin' bucket! The hell kind of question is that? I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be the center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Master Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct! Correct! With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Master Mask was really Ron Delight. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be Master Mask? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective. I can't believe it, he was such a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective. Why, you? How dare you expose me like that? Literally, the only crime you ever solved was an easy one, and all of the other ones were ones you committed. I mean, I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective and also Master Mask. Why can't you understand that? Manic Face says otherwise. I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why, you? How dare you even imply the woe could ever fall to such lowly depths? Why not try doing something yourself with those big mouth of yours? You're real fools, I say. None of you can compare to my genius. You're really just jealous. So goons, so desperate. Come on, there's nothing so great as detective cannot handle blackmail, murder, threats. I'll get away with all of it. It's enough to make one laugh. Well, he just literally said that he could get away with all of the things he just did, so it seemed we finally arrived at the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atme. Bailiff, please prepare a cell for Mr. Atme.
Objection.
Oh my God, why are you this way? Yeah, I know, disgusting, knock it off. The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim. What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. No, that's quite literally not your job. You're not allowed to do that. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you mean? I'm a phoenix, not a cat. I don't have claws, I've got talons. It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't a lordly tailor that night of the murder. Yeah, that's right. That's why he's the one who killed Mr. Bull. But, glug glug, there's still one thing you have yet to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't at the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse of a man was at KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way! Why must everything be this way? Such a pain. Order! Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright, this is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night. But can you really prove that? That's long enough, Mr. Trite. Now I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security, and the defense? I'm really racking my brain here. But evidence that Atme was at KB Security specifically? I mean, literally everything else I said, you know, it all adds up. And on top of literally everything else, I mean, who else could it have possibly been? But fine, if you want pure, unadulterated, unquestionable evidence that says that he was standing in the room, well, I don't think I can. I can't prove it. Just as I thought. But, if we hear of Detective Atme's testimony, unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Trite. That doesn't even seem remotely fair. It's like, well, I'm about to lose, so you're not allowed to do anything. I'm just gonna say no. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. I mean, what do I look like? Somebody who actually wants a murderer to go to prison? No, of course not. I just want you to look dumb. What? Have you forgotten? Luke Atme is here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Master Mask. No. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I fail to see how that has anything to do with anything.
I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
That's not a word. Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness.
I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is...
Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We could look for more evidence, and by then it'll be too late.
What?
Why? Yeah, okay, great. Could you mind talking, not delaying? Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law. Double jeopardy? What's a game show have to do with anything? Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. That is a fundamental rule of all courts. So basically, if you screw up once, you could literally never even attempt it again. And it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else. Mr. Atme will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as Master Mask, which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned. Even if he did it, apparently. That is a really bad court system. This entire system is borked out the wazoo. The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atme's guilt of the crime here means that he'll never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer. Well, that's a gargantuan pile of butts. Oh no, not the despair pose. No, there's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atme, will go free. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. And as long as there's no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? I literally am not allowed to, so I don't know why you'd say that. Then I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme. Ah, but... Well, hello there! I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this was what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you... Nailing it! Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. Excusez-moi? That voice. No way! It's Mia! Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Kurain channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but... Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective, as well as Master Mask. My very verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever. Very well. Then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made those remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor? You okay over there, Godot? Is something the matter, Mr. Godot? Nothing. Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think that such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at... Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you... Very well then, Mr. Luke Atme. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. The last testimony.
Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Rhonda Light. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit, which is why he left no prints. And earlier in this very scene, I said that I hadn't heard anything that was said prior in the prior part of the trial, as I was having my own trial over in the other room. So how the hell do I have any idea that he was in the costume? And the blackmail letter? The victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Red and blue, they're basically the same color, so why would anybody think otherwise? Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy.
Well, I've already figured it out. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course.
But, how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look all over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer.
Well, then it's a good thing I don't plan on asking you about that. Are you gonna make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Hang on a sec, just one chance?
Wait, like I can only press one thing? Huh. It seems that the party's about to begin. Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with the testimony. So it would seem.
What do you mean, so it would seem?
Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. And so that would be the case. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony. And I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Well, that's a good thing I think I got it. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination. It's a good thing I'm so good at retaining information. Otherwise, this would actually be a bit more tricky. But I think I've actually got this all figured out. Should be, as long as I'm super careful not to hit anything too fast. Why? The victim should have sounded it. Yeah, here we go. Music stopped! Mr. Atmey, about this last remark.
Objection!
I'm doing the literal thing that I was doing! You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. Yeah, I'm not, though. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. You'll also notice that I don't resort to name-calling like a 5-year-old. What? Mr. Atmey, it seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder.
How can you say that?
Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atmey? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. Is that correct?
Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof.
Yeah, literally nobody knew about that until today, though. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool.
I'm sorry. Whatever do you mean?
For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. It looks like he's figured it out. When exactly did we learn the fact that Rhonda Light was dressed as Master Mask when he went to the scene of the crime? That was, it was just a few hours ago. Back when my 6th cup was looking at me with a cold stare. Even you said you didn't know about it. Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry. I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. So there you go. That's right. The defendant had yet to tell anyone else the fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atney? There's no way that you should have known about that. You were in the courtroom being tried as Master Mask. So then enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information? Well, come on. This detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atney to have found that out. Only one. One way, you say. Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. It looked exactly like the detective, but I don't remember that. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. But Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atney. That's a load of bunk, and let me explain why. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. Bum-ba-da-bum! It was Gumshoe, no. Detective Atney, you saw Master Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Whoa. Man's going Super Saiyan! Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. Oh, he's laughing. Well, he's definitely being tried for murder. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atney, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atney tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Mask in order to escape his true crime. And to that end, he came up with this plan, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. I'm going to assume that's wrong, excuse me. I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man, besmirching him with the title of murderer. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? Oh, about the verdict. I know, you never committed any murder. That's right, I'm so glad you understand that, but... I really am Master Mask. Oh, good lord. So thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it, I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was found innocent. And he was found innocent of theft. So I think he's actually been cleared of literally all the crimes he's committed. Then, Master Mask is really innocent? It seems so. For now. Assuming he doesn't do it again. For now. Now then, this court finds the defendant not guilty. The confetti rains down upon us. Not digging a damn. Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I am Master Mask after all. Nobody cares. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. Please put on a shirt. I'm gonna have to tell Maya to put on an undershirt. Seriously. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Kurain channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? That's literally all I've been doing over the course of these 3 games. Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright. I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you very much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all this has happened. Come on, just be happy already. Oh, hey, Maya. You've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Master Mask. I did it all for one reason, for her. You mean your wife, Desiree? She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she'd leave me for sure. So that's why you became Master Mask? Yeah, it's all over now. A broken bowl could never be put back together. That's literally not true. Right, Nick? Right. Can we go back to the way things were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can. I kind of wish you would check with me first. Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. Take a look at this broken-ass vase. Or urn. The sacred urn? Desi was the one who found this. Desiree, your wife, she always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Ah, there you are! Miss Delight, you did it, Ronnie, you're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you, I appreciate that, but I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you'd quit KB Security. I never imagined that you were really Master Mask either. Miss Delight, what are you gonna do now that you know? You're not gonna really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast that there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Huh? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement. Desi. Desiree, you really do love Ron, don't you? It wasn't just money. That makes me happy. I'm glad that she was every bit as nice as I thought she would be. Nicky boy? Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. Gulp. I can feel my face going red. Ah! Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you, with another man's wife in front of Mystic Maya? No, I'll never forgive you, never, ever. Why the slap attacks? My feelings hurt. So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Phoenix, did you get slapped by a little girl so much you passed out? Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Look at this adorable picture! Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Aw, that's a really cute picture. Yay! I managed to make it all work out in the end, and I only messed up once due to being too fast. Okay, well, I don't know much about nothing, but I know that's freaking adorable. And in the next part, that is what we're gonna do. recipe for turnabout, apparently. Hope you guys are excited for it, because I certainly am. I'll see you all then.